your energy forecast for November 2023. So on November 4th, we have Saturn, the Lord of Karma, finally going direct over 4.5 months of being retrograde. So let's unpack. First of all, if you want to go back to March and kind of take a listen to March's energy forecast, that's when Saturn first moved into Pisces energy. And of course, I went into huge amounts of depth and detail at that time on what this particular transit was going to mean for us. But a little bit of a refresher here. Saturn, who is the Lord of Karma, who rules over roles and responsibilities and structures, foundations and boundaries, he is having a little bit of a time. He hasn't been in this Pisces energy for about 27 years, so he is kind of attempting to close a 30-year cycle in this Pisces energy. The Pisces energy, being a mutable water sign, is fluid. There are no boundaries in Pisces energy. That's where our emotions, our soul, our spirit is concerned. Imagination, creative force energy is concerned. And it's a very, very interesting contrast because, of course, Saturn is very rigid. He is about boundaries, while the Pisces energy is here to kind of dissolve the boundaries. So it's a very interesting contrast of energies. And because of that, very much teaching us some tough love life lessons. So let's kind of unpack, if you will. We have Saturn going direct at 0 degrees, 31 minutes of Pisces energy, which essentially takes us back to March when Saturn first entered into Pisces energy. Now, we're not necessarily going back to that time frame. We don't have to kind of retrace our steps through that time frame up until now, but it is a good indicator on where it is that we've been having some struggles, some obstacles, some challenges where tough love life lessons are concerned, especially around our spirituality, especially around the boundaries that we lack in our lives to protect ourselves, to make ourselves feel safe and secure, and where discipline is needed. Many of us walking around knowing damn well that we have to do better and refusing not to actually do it, right? Once you know, you kind of have to do better. So that requires discipline. It requires a new foundation and structure. It requires willpower, determination, which are all very much Saturn constructs. Saturn being the father of time as well, the timekeeper of the zodiac, the basic ruler of the matrix in which we're in, really wants to kind of stick to rigid boundaries. And because tradition is very alive and well with Mr. Saturn, the Pisces energy, that water energy, just consider the Pisces energy as these big waves that the ocean are creating, crashing upon the earth. Now, over time, that water is actually going to erode that physical landscape. And this is very much what we're looking at with Saturn in this Pisces energy. We have been learning some tough love life lessons about ourselves, about our dreams, about our spirituality, our faith. We have been learning some tough love life lessons on our fears, our doubts, our insecurities, our incapabilities of bossing up to new levels of self-worth, of self-love. And so while Saturn has been retrograde, and again, this takes us back to June, the energy's been internalized. We've been looking within ourselves to bust down the boundaries, the barriers, the particular walls in which we've built that essentially now are turning out to be more like a prison than a comfort zone, than walls of protection. And so since June, we haven't really had a whole lot of control of the situations and the circumstances popping off outside of us. But what we have had control over is moving inward, really taking a good look at our inner realm of belief, the practice that we engage in order to kind of build ourselves up to remain happy and healthy. It is a particular awareness, if you will, at this time, now that Saturn is going direct, on where it is that we have to now integrate the tough love life lessons that we've learned, the wisdom, the knowledge that we've learned, and actually put it into practice. So the Pisces energy, the positive side to that is it's very empathic, it's very compassionate, very intuitive, very spiritual, very dreamy, very imaginative. But it also has a shadow part And the shadow part is what's going on in the unconscious part of ourselves and the unconscious part of the collective. First, we're going to talk about the individualization, how this affects us as individuals. When we're kind of taking a good look within ourselves and we're taking a good look at our belief system, that is going to dictate whether or not we're going to be successful in bringing some of our goals, our visions, our dreams to life. If we don't have the proper support system set up, as far as encouraging and supporting ourselves go, and having the right kind of structure, foundation, boundaries set up within ourselves in order to actually walk through the logical, practical steps that are needed in order to see what it is that's blocking us and how to remove that so that we can progress ourselves forward. Now this is an illumination on where it is that we have to boss up to new levels of responsibility in our lives. We have to be more accountable for our overall success or our failures, because what you focus on, what goes on in your inner realm, what it is that you actually believe is what's going to manifest outside of you in your exterior realm. This is about manifestation 101. And we have a lot of, I'm going to say, false belief systems, delusions that we have to kind of deconstruct before we can build something better in the place of the things that are preventing us from actually moving on, moving forward in a more empowered type of state. So the shadow side to, let's say, Saturn being in this Pisces energy is that maybe our boundaries, the ones that are actually in existence, maybe they're not strong enough. Maybe we continue to move the goalpost depending on who it is that's actually testing our boundaries and putting us in a situation to see whether or not we're actually going to stand up for ourselves. Maybe they're disintegrating in the watery energy of Pisces. Maybe it is that we don't have enough discipline and willpower to get ourselves out of the funk. Maybe we don't have that strength, that discipline within ourselves to kind of understand where it is that we're telling ourselves lies, that we're telling ourselves fibs, that we're living in a fantasy world. The fantasy land that comes with Pisces energy is absolutely necessary in order for us to conjure up a vision and a dream and a goal of what it is that our heart and soul wants us to actually be building towards. But the weight of the truth of the reality is Saturn energy. And so again, there's like this very, very intense contrast between these particular energies. Now, Saturn being in Pisces is going to force us to make some adjustments, especially where our belief systems are concerned, where our boundaries are concerned, where it is that our fears and our doubts need to kind of die in order for the dreams to actually have enough potency for us to move through those particular blockages and actually make them come true. Now, this is a very low and slow moving planet, and it is going to take about the bulk of the next 2.5 years for us to 100% see what this particular transit is going to mean for us. And of course, you can jump in to your birth chart, find where Pisces energy rules over your chart, and that is where Saturn is currently transiting. That's where you're learning these tough love life lessons. These are where new boundaries need to be built. This is where new willpower and determination has to come forth in order for you to build and create and manifest the kind of vision, the kind of dream that your soul space is now asking you to pursue. Collectively speaking, though, the Pisces energy is the unconscious collective. It is the delusions. It is the pain and the trauma of the human experience. And this is why we are seeing on the societal global stage, if you will, all the darkness now emerging, how horrible humans can actually be, what it is that we've created in our realm of reality that 100% needs to be unpacked, needs to kind of be disassembled and disintegrated in order for us to build proper structures, foundations that will help support all of us in the place of the things that, of course, are falling apart. Now, Saturn is not the key major, I'm going to say, good guy or hero in astrology, seeing as Saturn, aka Satan, has created the boundaries, the constructs, the foundations, the structures here on this earth plane matrix. Where there are boundaries, that is where Saturn is alive and well. And the Pisces energy is here to kind of unearth, if you will, the greatest, darkest parts of the unconscious collective in order for us to apply healing to it. Again, Pisces energy is healing energy to the karmic realm, to the emotional realm, to the spiritual realm. But we have to face the darkness, face the pain, the trauma, the suffering, in order to actually heal it, transform it, and make it into something better. So, considering the fact that the collective is going through major changes, as I talked about in the original astro forecast when Saturn first moved into this Pisces energy, and when I put out the 2023 energy forecast for the year, I talked very much about how Saturn and Pisces, we were going to see huge amounts of death, souls returning home through different aspects and avenue, talking about natural disasters, talking about sicknesses that have to do with the lungs. We are talking about wars. We're talking about genocide. We are talking about topics and themes that 100% need to be illuminated in order for there to be a destruction so that a new construction can actually take place in the place of the things that, guess what, we're not so happy with, we're not jiving with, we no longer want to keep alive and well. So it is definitely a very, I'm going to say, dark time, because the collective is doing shadow work. And in our own individual lives, we're doing shadow work. And we have to get real and raw and vulnerable with our own accountability to ourselves, to humanity, to the greater, grander collective. This is why I'm constantly saying, if you want to see a change in the world, you have to be the change in the world that you want to see. Because when we do the work within ourselves and we raise our vibration and frequency to a new level of knowledge, awareness, and enlightenment, that has a major impact on the collective and what the collective is doing. So just think of Saturn as the great destroyer that needs to come in and really kind of crush the foundations and the structures that society is currently being blocked and oppressed and restricted under. And just consider that the Pisces water, that ocean, that constant wave crashing upon the earth, is trying to break down that form, trying to break down those boundaries in order for us to heal. In order for us to imagine a different type of landscape, a different type of organization for society, for humanity, and of course, really align with the stronger forms of intelligence, not only within us, but within the greater, grander collective, and grasp a vision and a dream of what New Earth wants us to create. This is a time and space where it is going to feel very heavy. It's going to feel very weighted. It's going to feel very kind of funky and depressive, because Pisces energy is the last sign of the zodiac. It's always heavy. It is the essential spiritual death that we all need to go through in order for there to be a rebirth, a resurrection, a reawakening, which of course happens when we move into Aries energy. And spoiler alert, when Saturn moves into Aries energy, that is when we rebuild from the damage and the destruction that is taking place here in this Pisces energy. That Aries energy is initiating. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It's a fire sign. We're taking the leadership role. We're building things up in a much better way. But of course, we have to go through the clean out stage in order to actually get a clean slate to build upon. So there is this, I'm going to say, very thick funk that we will be continuing to kind of sit in for the next couple of years as Saturn does his thing in this Pisces energy. We're going to spend essentially the first half of this particular transit deconstructing, dissolving, really kind of seeing where it is that we have to break things down, where it is that the structures, the foundations, the boundaries that have been in place are no longer working for us. And therefore, bring it to an absolute rubble, clean that space out, clean that slate off, and then understand where it is that we have to boss up into new roles and responsibilities, being accountable for our own damn selves and the role that we're all playing in the part of rebuilding humanity's systems and structures to be in favor for the people instead of these, groups of evildoers. So now that we have Saturn moving forward, essentially we are going to see a forward movement on where it is that we're tapping into a new willpower, new determination, new sense of responsibility on what it is that we have to be better at, where we have to grow, where we have to be disciplined, where we have to be super hyper focused on being our best selves. Because of course, when we stand in our real, raw, authentic energy, that is the highest vibration that we can be standing in, that we can have power and control over, and that we can contribute to the overall collective and of course the ascension healing process that we're all, humanity, currently going through. So this should be a turning point. Nonetheless, we should feel a little bit more, I'm going to say, up to the challenge. We're going to boss up to these roles and responsibilities. We're going to take them on. We know better, therefore now we have to do better. And it all starts with our individual path, with our individual mission. And the fact that Saturn, the Lord of Karma, is actually going direct before the karmic cards of eclipse season actually fall and are dealt out to us should be a very strong indicator on what it is that we're going to be working with as we move forward into these new karmic chapters.